What's goody? Hey man, so listen, so the Western Conference playoffs could really be insane. So let's just go ahead, let's take a look at these standings right now because we need to talk about this, bro. So last night the Lakers played the Mavs and Luka's first game playing against Dallas since the trade and everything like that. Lakers won, so the Lakers are now the 4 seed, right? Okay. And that's all cool and good. But them being the 4 seed and the Rockets being the 5 seed, they're only 2 games behind the 2 seed. And the Grizzlies, while they're a good team, their half court offense isn't great. Ja Morant hasn't been playing great. Desmond Bain, since the turn of the calendar year, has been better, but he hasn't been having a great season, right? So they could easily move up, but we're not even going to talk about that right now. What we're here to talk about is, let's just say things stay exactly the way they are in the West, because I do believe that these are the 10 teams that'll be like play-in teams when the season finishes. Because Phoenix, I'm completely off the Phoenix train. Like, I think Phoenix is absolutely done. I do not think they are making the play-in unless somebody happens to get hurt on one of these teams or something, or like Dallas falls super hard because they don't have any centers. But Dallas has been playing pretty well without having centers. Now, granted, they've fallen a lot, but that's like expected. Like, they're not getting beat by 50 every game the way that you might think they would be after trading Luka and having literally all 3 of the centers on their roster hurt. Then they got Moses Brown signing 10-day contracts and stuff like that. Pierre, stop scratching. Dude, the dog just be having allergies, bro. But anyways, so if the Western playoffs started today, let's say the play-in started today, right? Kings versus Mavericks. I'm taking the Mavericks. Timberwolves versus Warriors. I'm taking the Warriors. So it would be the Warriors would be the 7 seed, and then it would be Minnesota has to play Dallas. Now, a fully healthy Dallas, I'd probably take Dallas, but I don't know that Minnesota's necessarily going to miss the playoffs. I don't know how they make it in, but I just don't necessarily believe that they're going to miss. I don't think that Dallas is going to miss either as long as Anthony Davis does come back. Now, the thing with Dallas, though, is that they said that Anthony Davis and Daniel Gafford probably will come back this season, but they're still a few weeks away from reevaluation. Well, the season only has like 25 games left in it. So a few weeks away from reevaluation means they're going to miss a considerable amount of games. So, and that's just reevaluation. That's not a few weeks before they come back. That's a few weeks before they're even reevaluated to see how bad the injury is. So these guys will probably be hurt for a little bit of time. They probably won't be playing for a little bit of time, right? So I'm not sure that Dallas will make it, but let's just say right now the play-in stays the way it is, the playoffs stay the way it is. These are the matchups, right? OKC versus, let's just say Golden State as the 8 seed, because I don't feel like going into all that play-in stuff. Are we sure that Golden State couldn't beat OKC? Obviously, OKC has been the best team out west. They're 8.5 games ahead of second place and everything like that. Don't get me wrong. But with the way the Warriors have looked and the momentum that the Warriors are likely going to be riding into the playoffs, because they have a super easy March schedule ahead of them. I think their April schedule is pretty easy too. I think like overall in the league, their schedule is like 22nd easiest. So they have a very or 22nd hardest or something. So like they have a super easy schedule. So the Warriors will probably have, you can take them. The Warriors will probably have like a ton of momentum going into the playoffs to face that matchup. Are we sure that Shea and the Thunder are just better than the Warriors? Are we sure that they're just like that much better than the Warriors? Because I'm not really 100% sure that they are. But let's just say that one right there could be an upset. That one right there could be like a 6-game series, a 7-game series, whatever. And I would not necessarily, if I'm any of these teams out west that's like a top 3 seed, top 2 seed, I don't want to face Golden State in the first round. Like, what? If you want to face anybody in the first round, I'd much rather face Anthony Edwards than Steph Curry. I'd much rather face Kyrie and AD than Steph Curry. I'd much rather face the bum Kings over Steph Curry. Because while those guys may be all great, is not the Kings, but while the Mavericks with Kyrie and AD have 2 good players, 2 great players, and the Timberwolves have Anthony Edwards, it's like none of them scare you in the playoffs as much as Steph Curry does, because none of them have given you a reason to. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're OKC, you don't want to see Minnesota either. So, like, OKC could very well, like, floor. Depending on the matchup, OKC could lose in the first round. Like, I don't think they will. I'm not predicting it to happen because I do think that Golden State's going to move up. I think that Minnesota might move up, and I could see teams like LA or Houston moving down a little bit to where they're in the play-in. Maybe not Houston because damn, 5 games. Yeah, 5 games in the West is a lot. But LA could very well move down into the play-in, and I think they probably will. And then I think Golden State will either be the 7 or the 6, and Minnesota will either be the 7 or the 6, and then Dallas will be like probably stay at that 9 seed because I'm not sure that LA is gonna fall enough to be down to like 9 or 10. But yeah, I don't. Damn, I didn't realize the Rockets were 4.5 games ahead of the Clippers and the The Wolves, man. In the West, 4 or 5 games is tough to make up. Now, if you're Golden State, you're half a game behind them in the Clippers, and you've got an easier schedule than both of them remaining, right? So you're going to be fine. You've played great. You just beat the Hornets by 30, and I don't care what you say. Yeah, it's the Hornets, blah, blah, blah. Well, they beat the Lakers a few days ago, so don't just give me that. They beat the Hornets by 30. So if you're OKC, you don't want to see Minnesota. You don't want to see Golden State. Hell, you don't want to see Dallas. If you're Memphis, you for damn sure don't want to see Golden State. Steph Curry might average 50. Real talk. Like, Zach Edey might be unplayable in that series with Golden State's small ball, that speed, that shooting. How is Zach Edey going to guard that? Like, what are you going to do with Zach Edey in that position? Because even Draymond will space out. Then you got when Post is playing or Santos is playing, they're going to space out because you don't have to worry about TJD because he's been out of the rotation. So, like, the only time that Zach Edey would probably be able to play is if there's Kevon Looney minutes in there, and Kevon Looney's probably going to play, 10 minutes a game if that series were to happen, because they probably would try to kill them with the small ball. Jalen Wells has been good. Do you trust him in that series versus the Warriors? Jaren Jackson Jr. has been having a phenomenal series. Do we think a phenomenal season? Do we think that season's going to be as good versus the Warriors? Ja hasn't been great. Do you think that's going to continue versus the Warriors? And if you do, that's going to be terrible for him. The Warriors have been super hot, and they've beaten this Grizzlies team before. This Grizzlies team has little to no playoff. Well, they have some playoff experience, but they have little playoff experience, and guys like Zach Edey or Jalen Wells have none. So it's like, you don't want to see Golden State. You don't want to see Minnesota, and you for damn sure don't want to see Dallas either. Any of those 3 teams could beat either of those 2 teams up top in a 7-game series, and I genuinely believe that. If you're Denver, again, I think they would beat the Timberwolves because I just do, like, genuinely, but I think it would still be a pretty close series. But the Denver Nuggets, you probably don't want to see Dallas. Now, Jokic might cook AD, but would they even put AD on him? Because they'd probably start AD at the 4. So it's like, what are you going to do? Genuinely, what are you going to do if AD's at the 4 and he's not even on him and they're just using him as a roamer and they've got Daniel Gafford on him? Or if you've got AD on him and then you've got Daniel Gafford on Aaron Gordon playing as kind of a roamer. And then when Aaron Gordon's not out there, it's like, okay. And then also, if you're playing against a Minnesota team or you're playing against a Dallas team, they're not worried about no damn Russell Westbrook, to be honest. Like, Russell Westbrook's been having a good season, but they're probably going to play off of him a good amount, which is going to allow teams to see what you saw what the Lakers did, where they had 3 people pretty much bracketing Nikola Jokic the whole game. Dallas can do that. Golden State for damn sure can do that. Minnesota can do that. So it's like, once Jokic is getting bracketed by these 3 people the way that LA did, especially when Golden State has a small team like LA does, and they could really do that with a guy like Draymond and with guys like Draymond and Jimmy, what are you going to do when the offense isn't coming from Jokic? Don't get me wrong, I think that series would probably go 6 or 7, but like, it's going to be tough on either team. So Denver could lose to Golden State. Denver could lose to Dallas. I'm not necessarily sure that Denver would lose to Minnesota, but I could see it happening. LA, that 4-5 matchup with the Rockets, genuinely, I believe LA could sweep them. So I'm not high on the Rockets or anything like that. I'm really not. I think they've had a really good season, and Ime Udoka's a really good coach. But if that 4-5 matchup stays the way it is, they might not sweep them, but I could see very well them sweeping them. The Clippers, they would be going against Denver if the playoffs started today. I'm taking Denver. But, like, let's say the Clippers move down. Could the Clippers have a chance against a Memphis team? With Kawhi, James Harden, Norman Powell, Zubac all healthy? Oh, for sure. They most definitely could. So it's just like the Western playoffs are crazy, whereas in the East, nobody's worried about the Bulls. The way the Heat have been playing since that trade, and I saw people talking about how they were excited about the Andrew Wiggins thing in Miami. I don't know why. I don't know what gave you that impression. I don't know what made you think that it was going to work out there. It hasn't worked out. He hasn't been good. They haven't been good. I told you it was going to happen. Nobody's worried about the Bulls. Nobody's worried about the Heat. Now, could the Hawks go out here and make some noise in the play-in? We know that Trae Young's a play-in demon, for sure. And then they would play Boston. Let's say Atlanta beats Orlando, then they go on to play Boston in the first round. Boston would beat them, but Atlanta will take a game or 2 because they always do from Boston. But then it's like really out east, we know what teams are the best. It's these 2 teams right here. The Knicks have a chance to make it to the conference finals, maybe, but not really. And then like the Bucks. I think the Bucks have a better chance to make it to the conference finals than the Knicks. Like if the Bucks and the Cavs met in the second round, I would have a tough chance picking between that series, but that's really the only one. Now, could New York go out there and mess around and lose to a team like Detroit? For sure, because the way that Detroit's been playing, Detroit might even go up past the Bucks or past the Pacers. Like, I think the way that the East is right now, these will be the 10 teams. I don't think the Nets will make it. The Sixers give up, like genuinely give up. But I think these will pretty much be the 10 teams, and I think it'll probably be these 8. I don't see either one of these teams making it. I think it'll be these 8 teams that'll be in the playoffs over here. But in the West, things are just so much more up in the air. Like, we have no idea what's really going to happen out west, and I'm so excited for this playoffs. Right now, this playoffs is shaping up to be just like the West playoffs from last year, just like without the like race to the finish for the 1 seed at the end of the season that we had last year, where like the Thunder got it by like the last day of the season, they became the 1 seed. I don't think that's obviously not going to happen this year because they're 9 games above second place and third place, but the West playoffs will be crazy. I'm not worried about no Sacramento or no Phoenix, but Dallas, Golden State, Minnesota, all in that play-in for right now, terrifying if I'm an OKC, a Memphis, or a Memphis fan. That 3-6 matchup, Clippers could fall down, and then Denver's going to have to deal with a Dallas, a Golden State, or a Minnesota. That would be terrifying. And probably not Dallas, because I think that they're just going to be without too many guys for too long of a time for them to get up to that 8, 7, or 6. They could maybe get up to 8, but I don't think so. I just think they're probably going to be stuck at 9, kind of where they are. I don't really see them falling below the Kings because things with the Kings just haven't looked good. Zach LaVine went off the other day, so maybe that's him finding himself with the Kings. Maybe that's his shot finally falling, and maybe he'll start hooping and they'll start hooping, but I don't think so. But anyways, man, let me know what y'all think, bro. I'm excited to see this Western Conference playoffs. I'm excited to see what these matchups are going to bring us, man. And, yeah, the West playoffs should be absolutely insane. I could genuinely see 2 or 3 first-round upsets happening, and they would be like 8-1, 7-2 type upsets. Like, the matchups that should be 4 or 5 game series, I could very well see those going 7. So I think the West is the most unpredictable that maybe has ever been. And I think that's just because we haven't seen a lot of Luka in LA. We haven't seen a lot of Jimmy in Golden State. Like, we've liked the things we've seen so far when we have seen them, but Luka still hasn't played great when he's been in LA. He's had one great game, and then last night he played pretty well, but he hasn't been having MVP performances left and right like he was in Dallas. So I don't think he's fully settled in yet. But then in Golden State, things are looking great, and they have an easy schedule. So you can't convince me that Golden State can't go up to the 6th seed. But yeah, man, just let me know what y'all think. Let me know if y'all think I'm tripping. But yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because it helps me out a lot and everything like that. And I love y'all, man. Thanks for watching.